Before time had a name, before the first sunrise kissed the horizon, there was only darkness, a vast, formless void. But in the silence, a voice spoke.
Let it be light.
And with those words, light shattered the abyss, and existence was born. This is the story of Genesis, the breathtaking beginning of everything. It is a tale of beauty and purpose, of love and loss, of human frailty and divine redemption. It is not just history, it is our story, the foundation of our world, and the origin of our deepest longings. Genesis unfolds in two great movements: the story of God and all creation, chapters 1 to 11, and the story of God and one man, Abraham, through whom he would reshape the destiny of the world, chapters 12-50. But to understand the journey ahead, we must first witness the masterpiece of the beginning, creation, from chaos to beauty. In the beginning, God shaped the heavens and the earth, drawing order from the swirling depths of nothingness. Every flower, every rushing river, every soaring eagle, each was spoken into being by his boundless imagination. But his crowning creation was something different, not carved from stone nor born from the stars, but formed from the very dust of the earth. Humanity, Adam in Hebrew, was shaped by his own hands, infused with the breath of life bearing his image. To them he gave a gift, a paradise called Eden, where rivers sparkled like crystal and fruit hung heavy on emerald branches. In this garden, God walked among them, his presence as close as the whispering wind. He gave them a purpose, to cultivate, to create, to rule as his representatives, filling the earth with life and harmony. But paradise came with a choice. A single tree stood at the heart of Eden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. To obey meant life. To take what was forbidden meant death. It was a test, not of obedience alone, but of trust. Would they let God define what was good? Or would they grasp for wisdom on their own terms? Then came the whisper of the serpent. No name, no origin, just a voice coiled in deception.
Did God really say?
With cunning words, the serpent planted a seed of doubt, twisting the truth, offering a different story.
You will not die. Instead, you will become like God.
The man and woman listened. They reached, they took, they ate, and in an instant the world shattered. Where there had been harmony, now there was shame. Where there had been innocence, now there was fear. They saw their own nakedness, exposed not just in body, but in spirit. And so they ran. They hid.
Where are you?
They could not undo what was done. The perfect world they had known was lost. In their rebellion, sin had entered creation like a sickness, corrupting everything. And so they were cast out of Eden, exiled from the presence of God, from the tree of life. Yet even in their failure, God's mercy remained. He clothed them, he covered their shame, and he gave a promise, one that would echo through the generations. A descendant would come, born of a woman, who would crush the serpent's head. Evil would not win forever. A redeemer would rise. But before that day, darkness would spread. Outside of Eden, humanity multiplied. But so did sin. The firstborn of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, stood at the crossroads of choice. But Cain, consumed by jealousy, spilled his brother's blood into the earth. Death had become a bitter part of the human story. From there, the world descended into violence. Cities rose, built on oppression and greed. Lamech, a descendant of Cain, sang songs of vengeance, boasting that he was more ruthless than any before him. And in time, even the heavens were stained with corruption. Mysterious beings, the sons of God, took human wives, birthing warriors of terrifying renown. Whether these were fallen angels or prideful kings claiming divine descent, their legacy was the same: unchecked evil. God looked upon his world, this world that he had called good, and his heart was grieved. Humanity had chosen destruction, and so the earth would be cleansed. But even in judgment, there was grace. A man named Noah walked with God. While the world drowned in its wickedness, Noah found favor in the Lord's eyes. And so he was given a task to build an ark, a vessel of salvation. For 40 days rain fell, waters swallowed mountains, every evil thing was washed away. But inside the ark, God preserved life. When the storm ceased and the flood receded, a new beginning emerged. God made a covenant, placing a rainbow in the sky as an eternal promise. Never again would he destroy the earth by flood. And to Noah, he gave the same command given to Adam: be fruitful and multiply. But even Noah, this new hope for humanity, fell. In a vineyard, in drunken shame, he too became a mirror of Adam's failure. Sin had survived the flood. The Tower of Babel, human pride and divine intervention. Generations passed. A people gathered in the plains of Babylon, intoxicated by their own ambition. They had discovered a new power, brick and mortar, a technology to build higher, faster, greater than ever before. Together, they declared, "We will build a tower to the heavens. We will make a name for ourselves." It was Eden's rebellion reborn, not in a garden, but in a city. Not through a single act, but through an entire civilization defying God. And so he came down. He scattered their tongues, confused their speech, and the tower crumbled. Not by force, but by division. Humanity, once united, now splintered into nations and languages. The world had fallen far from Eden, but God's plan was not finished. Genesis 1:11 is a portrait of human nature, our tendency to grasp for control, to choose pride over trust, to turn away from the one who made us. It is a mirror reflecting our own struggles, our own brokenness, but it is also a whisper of hope. From the very moment of the fall, God had promised redemption. A descendant would come, a wounded victor who would crush the serpent's head. And though humanity had spiraled into rebellion, God was not done writing the story. The next chapter, Genesis 12, begins with one man, Abraham. And through him, through his family, God would set in motion a plan to bless the whole world. Because Genesis is not just about where we came from, it's about where we are going. God is not distant, he is not indifferent. He is the same creator who called light out of darkness, who clothed Adam and Eve, who spared Noah, who scattered Babel. And he is the same God who offers us a way back through the one who would one day come to fulfill the promise. This is Genesis, the beginning of the greatest story ever told, and it is far from over. So as you reflect on the story of Genesis, ask yourself, are you defining good and evil for yourself, or trusting the one who created all things? The story of humanity is filled with failure, but God's story is filled with grace. And in the end, it is his story that will prevail. If this message has touched your heart, we invite you to join and support Living Faith Motion in reaching many souls with the transformative power of God's Word. Together, we can inspire lives and spread his grace across the world. God bless you, and thank you for being a part of this journey.